the absence of any other evidence to the contrary, I am satisfied that Mr. Magashule, Mr. Pillay and Minister Gordhan did not have the requisite intention to act unlawfully. I am of the view that this matter could easily have been clarified had there been proper engagement and cooperation between the Hawks and Mr. Magashule, Mr. Pillay and Minister Gordhan. In the circumstances, I have decided to overrule the decision to prosecute Mr. Magashule, Mr. Pillay and Minister Gordhan on the charges listed in the summonses. As such, I have directed the summonses to be withdrawn with immediate effect, and there would thus no longer be any need for Mr. Magashule, Mr. Pillay or Minister Gordhan to appear in court in respect of the charges listed in the aforementioned summonses.
All right, well, we will bring you more on exactly what came out of that. We do have our reporter, Aldrin St. Pierre, standing by just to get some more updates and some more clarity as to exactly what came out of that briefing, and certainly more than what came out of that statement read out by Abrahams was the Q&A session. Some interesting questions that journalists put to him. He did seem quite defensive. He said that the questions of who is to blame and should heads roll, and is he pleased with the way that the prosecuting authority has handled this case? He was certainly quite blunt in saying that those are unfair questions and that they shouldn't be asked, and that what is important is that this was not just about Minister Gordhan, but that there were two other people involved in this, and he said that they were all given fair representation and were asked to come forward to give their representations to the Hawks. So let's get more on exactly what came out of that briefing, because that was certainly the Q&A session was the more interesting part of that briefing. Our reporter Aldrin St. Pierre is there. Aldrin, a very good afternoon to you. Abrahams on the defensive there, saying that he's not embarrassed, saying that he will not resign, and saying that the questions of who is to blame is unfair.
Can you just quickly repeat that question?
Aldrin, a very interesting Q&A session with Abrahams there, saying that he was not embarrassed and saying that who should be put to blame is an unfair question.
Well, what he did indicate is that he'll have to sit down and look into whether anyone should be held accountable for this decision that has been taken. He says that he doesn't consider it to be a blunder, but of course we've seen how the rand rallied immediately after the announcement from the NDPP about 2 weeks ago. I think after the first announcement, the rand dropped about 3% against the US dollar. So he says he insists that it was not a blunder. He doesn't consider this matter to be a blunder, but he'll have to look. You have to sit down and look into whether anyone should be held liable for this decision that has been taken. The inference that seems to be drawn from this, it almost sounds as though that he's blaming a poor investigation on this matter, and that there was information that was withheld or not been given to the prosecutions, and it's only after he then started his own investigation, after the representation from Oupa Magashule as well as even Ivan Pillay, that he then discovered that actually there was no criminal intent. They might have acted unlawfully, but there was no criminal intent in the decision to reappoint Ivan Pillay after he had retired.
Did he give you any clarity on the Moyane hostage situation? Aldrin, I'll just repeat that. Did he give any clarity on the Moyane hostage situation?
I'm struggling to hear you. Can you just repeat that question?
All right. Did he give any clarity on the Moyane hostage situation?
Oh, that was not discussed at all. Actually, that didn't come up. The question that was asked just before he left was that whether he had met the Hawks at all with regards to this investigation. He said that he has never met the Hawks. Another question was around Flock Cementing's legal advice dated back in 2009, that he indicated there was no problem with reopening or reappointing Ivan Pillay, even after he had retired. He said that he got that evidence later on. Remember that Freedom Under Law also wrote to him, and they gave him that document indicating that Pravin Gordhan as well as Oupa Magashule at the time received legal opinion by the Deputy Director of Law at SARS, indicating there was nothing wrong with reappointing Ivan Pillay.
And any clarity, Aldrin, on the SARS rogue unit? Did he say that investigation was continuing?
Well, it did indicate that the SARS rogue unit investigation is still ongoing. Remember, even 2 weeks ago when we had that press briefing, a question that I asked him back then was that whether there was any prima facie case against Minister Pravin Gordhan. And that's another issue now. You might have this case where Minister Pravin Gordhan is now, where the charges have been dropped against him, but there now is another matter, and this is the matter with regards to the SARS rogue unit. His alleged involvement in the establishment of that rogue unit, but Pravin Gordhan has previously indicated in the 27 questions sent to the Hawks that he has no idea or has no information that the unit within SARS was acting illegally. Abrahams indicated in that previous press briefing that there was evidence that they acted illegally. So we'll have to wait and see what will happen. He said that a decision will be taken soon. Not too sure whether the announcement will come this year or whether it will come early next year.
All right, Aldrin, thank you very much. We'll leave it there. Our reporter Aldrin Sampear live from that press briefing in breaking news that the charges have been withdrawn.